Hello and welcome to this overview of the Glitchhikers Videopak. This Videopak was developed by members of the Silverstring Media team. We're a small queer-owned video game studio in Canada. This pack was inspired by the colors of late nights, sunsets, sunrises, and a life lived in transit, as well as drawing upon assets and situations found in our 2022 video game, Glitchhikers: The Spaces Between, which is a free-form narrative game about liminal spaces and introspective moments. My name is Clara Siren. I was one of the designers for this video pack, as well as the creative director on the Glitchhikers video game. It is my pleasure to walk you through some of the features of this video pack that we put together for you. So this pack features let me go to channel 16, which is where you control it. Yeah, there we are. So on channel 16, using these numbered keys, or the black keys on any other MIDI controller, you can go between 6 unique scenes, each with different reactive elements that will hopefully help you tell a story. It's a variety pack of liminal spaces and late night vibes for you to make beats or to study to. There's a global hue shift function on the red encoder here. And there is a bloom lighting function, which is great for scene transitions, on the yellow encoder here. These two encoders, what they do is dependent on the scene. These 3 white key buttons here control different camera moves that are also dependent on the scene. I'll cover those in a little bit when we go scene by scene through. But the last thing to know globally about the kind of controls here is, and again, this is all on the video track or channel 16, the 3 white keys down here, F, G, and A, control the punch-in effects. We've got here ASCII, here kaleidoscope, and here is this kind of glitch lines transition, also useful for building transitions between scenes. These are the same on every single scene. So, without further ado, let's jump back to scene number 1 and talk about what makes this one unique. So, first of all, one thing that makes this unique is we've got this screensaver mode. If you press the 0 key, or D sharp, you will toggle it on and off. If you turn it off and on and back on again, it is rainbow. So normal mode, rainbow mode. Enjoy that. This only appears on this particular scene. Also, specific to this scene are a couple of camera moves. So we have this one right here. If you press this white key, that you turn and look at the passenger, and this one right here has you turn and look back. You have to press and hold these camera moves, so if you press a little bit and stop, it'll actually freeze mid-move, and this allows you to have a variety of camera views for each scene. So let me just reset this. All right. As you've already probably noticed a little bit with our center dial, certain elements of the scene respond to MIDI notes. So let's get this party started. These 3 MIDI channels, 1, 2, and 3, control the 3 dials on the dashboard, as well as controlling the night sky. And the night sky functions the same in each scene. Notes on MIDI channel 1 cause the moon to kind of blink or get smaller. Notes on MIDI channel 2 make the moon's aura grow larger. And notes on MIDI channel 3 have the stars blink out. So I can turn it off and you can notice it. Now it's back on. Cool. One last bit of interactivity for each scene are these specific encoders. So in this particular scene, the green encoder allows you to go into hyperspace, which is very fun. I'll turn that back off. And then the blue encoder allows you to steer the car and change lanes, which is fun. One last piece of interactivity, let me just switch up my mute groups here. So notes that come in on MIDI channel 6 specifically have the dials change color and kind of respond, as well as, if we use our camera move here, cause the hikers or the passengers' screens to shift hue as well. And that just about wraps it up for this scene. So let's go to the next one. So this encoder, the blue encoder, as I was showing you at the start here, controls these ribbons. And again, there's this hue shift and bloom feature. I think the hue shift looks especially good on this scene. Get a few of these lines coming in. Maybe not quite as many. The last thing we have on this green encoder is some particle effects. To see what's happening, let's get a little closer and use our camera moves. In this scene, we have a zoom in. I can turn that down a little bit so it's a little bit less. There we go. And then we can zoom back out. The last bit of interactivity here on this scene is based on channel 6. And depending on the pitch of the note, it triggers different mushrooms to regrow from left to right, lower to higher. Alright, let's go to scene 3 now. And again, I'm just still controlling this on MIDI channel 16. This is scene 3. We've got these synth notes coming in on channel 6, and this scene in particular is very reactive to what's happening on channels 5 and 6. Channel 6 controls the amount of particles coming from our legally distinct consciousness activation polygon, which is hovering above the left passenger and the train here. And we can control the intensity of those effects with the green encoder, making them very slight or very blown out. Let's turn that back down. The blue encoder controls the particle effects that are associated with the bass track or channel 5. So let's go in and add some of those. And in this particular scene, it helps if you sustain, so not little plucky bass notes, but so as you can see, when I was moving fast, it wasn't triggering as responsively. The other thing you can do, let me just set this up to play quite a bit. Let's go in here. Oh, let's not do that because that's controlling our music a little bit too much. But what we can do is unmute this bass, go in here, and with the blue encoder, turn down the intensity of the laser beam. And if we go back, you can see it's smaller. We make these notes longer. Yeah, there we go. And I can change the intensity now back on channel 16. The last thing to talk about in this scene is the camera moves. These are pretty fun. Our rightmost camera move zooms us in to the polygon here, and the other one zooms us away, but we have a nice little spin flourish. And again, you can stop this halfway through if you want for all sorts of kooky shenanigans. Alright, let's go to the next scene. Let's shift the hue a bit. So in this particular scene, our camera moves push us to center on the TV, or zoom back to look at the entire stage. Let's in a little bit so we can see what's going on. Let's zoom a little back. There we go. So, notes on channel 3 cause static to happen on the screen. It's very fun if you use ratchets because it will create a kind of glitchy, staticky signal effect on the television. The bass notes do indeed cause our bassist to play. Notes on MIDI channels 1 and 2 cause our drummer to drum, and notes on MIDI channel 6 cause our synth player to play his synths. We have particle effects on just one encoder here. It's the green encoder, and it controls, let me just get in there with a, on the right channel, gotta make sure you're on 16. Let's zoom in here. All right. If you look at both the bassist and the spectator who's sitting there smoking on the left side, their particle effects are both controlled with the green encoder here. I find just a little bit goes a long way, and it's also nice to maybe automate these swelling and coming away, like that. All right. Let's go to the next scene. So we've got a couple of our glitchhikers loitering in a parking lot here. One thing to note is on this scene, notes on channel 1 cause the boombox to grow larger, well, smaller and then larger, kind of like the moon. But if you play on the lower end of the keyboard, it causes the screen to shake as well, and I believe that's if you're below, yeah, I think it's like D4, C4 area. All of this is specifically in the documentation and the instructions as well, which will be linked below. So make sure you check out the instructions as well. But I'm just going to continue with the overview right now. So we've got our beat going. Drum hits on channel 2 will cause the sign to kind of glitch out and spark. Our camera moves are zoom in and zoom out in this particular scene, and we have 2 bits of particles. On the green encoder, we have the left dancer's particles, which kind of swoop around in this random fashion, which can be very, very expressive and fun. And our right dancer is controlled by the blue encoder, and he's got this kind of aggressive rave particles going on. This night sky also features some random shooting stars that will occasionally trigger. Those are not based on any sort of MIDI responsiveness. This is just something that randomly triggers. We think it looks nice, but don't slam your head against the wall trying to figure out which MIDI channel is triggering those. It's just something we wanted to add to this scene. And all right, without further ado, let's go on to the last scene. So the green encoder is the only particle effect encoder for this scene, and it controls the intensity of the star shower that's happening above the city. Got some automation going on right now. I'll get some more going on so it'll kind of ebb and flow. The lights of the city respond to notes on channel 6. So when I mute it, they stop, but if I unmute it, you can see the lights are shifting hue and kind of which ones are turned on and off is shifting around. Again, we've got our punch-in effects on each scene, but this scene has 3 camera moves. And unlike the others, you don't have to hold the button. They're kind of automated. So this one, which is the rightmost one, you just kind of pace back and forth on this overpass bridge looking over the city. The second from the right, you climb up and down these buildings, basically, looking at kind of camera loop going up and down the length of the skyscrapers. And then our third camera move is this kind of flyover of the outskirts of downtown. It'll go a little bit further, and then it'll slow down and start to pull back. And yeah, all these just loop. So, we have a lot of detailed installation instructions in the documentation that we've written up. We have a standalone Windows build, if you would like to check this out on Windows, as well as it functioning through the OPZ app on Mac, on iOS, and on Android. And for those specific installation instructions, I recommend you check out the link in the description of this video, which will take you to the instructions and the download links. One last thing I want to do before I kind of end with a little jam is give a huge thanks to Videopak creators. Like, thank you to this organization, thank you to that YouTube channel, thank you to everyone who's put on this contest and made this happen. We really appreciate the opportunity to showcase this thing that we originally just made for ourselves using our assets, and the contest really gave us this extra push to document it, add a lot more colorful features, and release it to the world and kind of give back to this community. Also want to thank Teenage Engineering for making inspiring instruments like this. I wrote some of the soundtrack for Glitchhikers on this OPZ, and I love this device, and thank you Teenage Engineering for making things that inspire me. And finally, thank you to the Videopak community, the OPZ community, the synth community as a whole. I've gotten so much out of that community on YouTube and elsewhere throughout the pandemic and even before, and I just really want to give a shout out to everyone who's watching this video, who's gonna download this, who might want to use this. Thank you so much for your time, and yeah, without anything else, I think let's just have a little outro jam. So I'm actually gonna punch us over to one of the tracks that I wrote for Glitchhikers. Now this is the actual like work in progress track that I used to compose the piece, so it's not finished like you would hear in the game, but I think we can have some fun with some of the punch-in effects and everything, and I'll also try to run the Videopak at the same time, and we'll just see how we go. All right, thank y'all so much for watching, and enjoy the outro. Trying to end with a little vaporwave flare here. Thank y'all for listening. Bye.